In the following clip you're about to watch, a workshop owner is at home, casually checking his security cameras from his phone the way any business owner does when they want to make sure everything is running smoothly back at the shop. What he sees instead stops him cold. His mechanic, Juan, is standing outside the workshop in broad daylight, gesturing, nodding, clearly mid-conversation, except there is absolutely no one there. Just Juan talking to the empty air, completely engaged, like he's deep in a perfectly normal work discussion with a person that the camera cannot see. The boss does what any of us would do. He picks up the phone and calls him. And this is where it gets deeply unsettling. He asks Juan who he's talking to, and Juan answers without a single beat of hesitation, Don Carlos. He's going over the budget, explaining the damage from the accident Don Carlos had on the highway the night before.
Estoy revisando por la cámara del taller de mi teléfono, estoy en mi casa. Y este maestro está hablando solo. No cacho qué onda. De verdad que no cacho qué onda. No, está hablando solo. Le voy a preguntar por cámara qué está haciendo. A ver, vamos a preguntar. ¿Sabes que consígueme el teléfono con la Connie, porfa? Es que no me da, está hablando solo, mira, Connie. No sé si estoy loco o qué. Mira. O me está agarrando para el hueveo, o no cacho. Llámalo, weón. No sé si me está agarrando para el huevo o no sé qué anda, weón. Pero ¿con quién habla, weón? ¿Aló? Oye, disculpa, pero ¿con quién estás hablando?
Con don Carlos, me está viendo, pasando el presupuesto y explicándole el tema del accidente que tuvo anoche en la carretera. Entonces me está viendo el presupuesto y estoy explicándole lo que le estoy diciendo.
Oye, cálmate. ¿Qué, don Carlos? Pero, oye, escúchame un poquito. ¿Tú me estás hablando del accidente de anoche?
Claro.
Juan, me estáis hueveando, ¿cierto?
No, pues estoy con don Carlos aquí, pues. Le estoy explicándole todo.
Oye, ¿podéis subir? ¿Sabes qué? Oye, es que no estáis hablando con nadie, viejo.
No puede ser, pues yo tengo el caballero aquí al frente mío, pues.
No estás hablando con nadie, Juan, y ayer los que chocaron murieron todos. Juan, no estás con nadie, sube y ven a ver las cámaras, tengo todo grabado. Sube, viejo, sube, vente al tiro. Si no estás con nadie, Juan.
Párala. Estoy con el caballero con el altavoz escuchándome él, pues.
Viejo, no, tengo grabado, vente, por favor, vente.
Ya voy al tiro, pero me espera, por favor.
No, esta weá es...
And then, the boss has to say the thing out loud that he's been dreading since he picked up the phone. He tells Juan that he isn't talking to anyone, that the space next to him is completely empty, that the cameras have the whole thing recorded, that there is no Don Carlos standing in front of him. And then, he drops the part that makes your stomach fall out from under you. The people in that crash last night didn't make it. Every single one of them died. Juan doesn't believe him. He pushes back, insisting Don Carlos is right there, listening to him, standing close enough to touch. The boss is now yelling, frantically telling him to come inside and look at the footage himself, because what is happening on that screen in real time is something he cannot talk his way around. And the mechanic, slowly registering the genuine panic in his boss's voice, finally agrees to come up. In paranormal research, this type of encounter is referred to as a crisis apparition, a phenomenon where someone who has just died appears to a person they had unfinished business with, often completely unaware that they have passed. So what do you think? Was one given a rare and terrifying glimpse into the moments right after death? Or is there another explanation for the invisible presence standing in that workshop yard? In this next clip, a woman is on day 3 of documenting strange activity in her home. and you can hear in her voice that 3 days of this has already worn her completely down. She starts by filming her ceiling light, which she says has been blinking rapidly and erratically for the past 10 to 20 minutes. Then she hears knocking coming from outside, walks out onto her deck in the dark, and calls out into the emptiness, but gets nothing back but silence. She turns around and goes back inside, and you can hear it in her voice. She is done. She starts talking about wanting to pack up and leave entirely, and that's the exact moment the house decides to make its point. Her dog lets out a soft, anxious whimper, and a split second later, all hell breaks loose.
So this is day 3 of the weird, strange occurrences at our house. Right now this light has been steadily blinking for about 20 minutes and maybe 10, and I just don't understand why. Okay, now it's like not blinking at all. I guess it's okay now. But that and the hearing the voices and stuff sometimes, and hello? 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 Who's here? Who's here? Okay, I'm kind of freaked out. Going back inside the house. See what I mean though? This is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, why is this stuff happening? I'm really thinking about moving away. I think that we should move away. Oh my God! Did you see that? Oh my God. Oh my God.
In paranormal research, this escalation pattern, flickering lights, disembodied voices, then aggressive physical movement is a textbook poltergeist progression, an entity building energy over days until it has enough to start throwing its weight around. The dog reacting a split second before the chair moved is the detail that stands out most, animals registering the presence just before it acts. So what do you think? Is something in that house feeding off 3 days of her fear? Or did things in those woods outside finally decide to come inside? In this next clip, we're looking at footage that came out of Romania, and right from the start there is an energy in the room that is difficult to place. The person behind the camera issues what sounds like a command, authoritative, deliberate, invoking some kind of invested power, telling whatever is in that room to rip the curtain down, to pull it as hard as it can. And before the sentence is even finished, the curtain moves violently to the side.
Prin puterea prin care am fost investit să rup perdeaua aia. Trage-o cât are. Băi, Alin, băi. Doamne, maica,
In paranormal research, entities that respond to verbal commands are classified as intelligent and interactive, which puts them in a significantly more concerning category than residual energy. Something in that room was listening, waiting, and the moment it was given permission to act, it did, with everything it had. The second piece of footage, from the same source, opens on a shelf of old, framed, black and white family photographs, the kind that have been sitting in the same spot for decades, and the narrator begins a dramatic invocation, summoning whatever spirits, entities, demons, or phantoms might be present, calling on what he describes as a primordial power invested in him by the patriarch, commanding them to move a picture, push it down, do something, anything. The room is completely still. As he finishes, he waits, and then chaos. The camera swings violently, there's a sharp cry of genuine shock, and the footage cuts abruptly. The kind of cut that doesn't feel planned. The kind that happens when someone drops everything and runs.
Oricare spirit ai afla, oricare entitate, oricare demon, oricare strigoi, prin puterea primordială prin care am fost investit de către patriarh, îți ordon să miști.
Mirela.
Mișcă poza aia sau dă-o jos, fă ceva. Marș de aici! Aoleu! Uitați pozele, uitați poșetele, uitați poza că nu e legată cu nimic. Da? Uitați. Uitați pozele, uitați. Da? Da, Doamne.
What's striking about both of these clips is the consistency. The same location, the same person, the same method of invocation, and both times, something responds. In paranormal theory, repeated successful contact with an entity through verbal command suggests that whatever is present in that space has either been there long enough to understand the ritual being used, or it has attached itself specifically to the person performing it. Those photographs on the shelf are the detail that lingers, old family images, faces from the past, in a room where something is clearly still very present. So what do you think? Is this a genuine case of successful entity communication, or is the energy in that room something that was never meant to be provoked? In this next clip, we're in a dark corridor, and the person behind the camera is already breathing heavy before anything has even happened. The kind of breathing that tells you they either know something you don't, or they're already picking up on something in that hallway that the camera hasn't caught yet. Speaking in Spanish, he extends an open invitation into the darkness. Any spirit, any soul, any demon present in this place is welcome. And then this happens.
Cualquier espíritu, alma, demonio que se encuentre en este lugar, muy bueno, eres bienvenido.
From behind the doorframe, a long finger-like shape begins to emerge, slowly, deliberately, shifting and rising through the green light with a patience that feels deeply intentional, like whatever is behind that door has been waiting for exactly this moment. The movement isn't sudden or erratic, it's controlled, which in paranormal research is always the more unsettling of the two options. Frantic energy scatters, but something that moves slowly, that takes its time, that responds to an invitation by stepping just barely into view without fully revealing itself, that suggests awareness, intelligence, and restraint. The kind of restraint that implies whatever is standing behind that door could do a lot more than wave its fingers if it wanted to. So what do you think? Did the invitation get answered, or is there something in that hallway that was already there long before the camera started rolling? In this next clip, two kids are standing in front of a set of double doors leading into a bedroom. One of them politely addresses whatever is in that room, asking if it can shut the doors. Nothing happens at first, she asks again, and then after a few seconds of complete stillness, the double doors slowly and smoothly begin to swing shut on their own. The kids congratulate it, genuinely impressed, and then push a little further, asking if it can open them back up, acknowledging that it might be hard, offering to help if it needs it. The doors swing wide open with force, and then, almost like it's showing off, they slowly begin to drift shut again on their own, sealing with one final slam that makes both of them jump slightly before they decide that's probably a good place to wrap it up.
If you can shut the doors.
Go sit down.
Okay, so you know we're staying. Can you please shut the doors?
Can I show it so you can see that it sees? Oh,
Oh, yeah.
They're shutting. They're shutting.
There it goes. Here.
Show it so nobody can everybody can see that.
Oh, wow, nice job. That's really good.
Actually, I don't think it's slamming.
Guys, like he like basically
Wait, show it
shut
like this so you can see that nobody's like pushing the door or something.
Okay, can you try opening the doors? If it's too hard, we can help you. Yeah. I'm gonna give you a second to try opening them. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a little push right here.
That's good. Now can you please open them?
Or shut them.
That might have been a little hard right there.
They're a little open.
And also I feel like they would stick together.
Yeah.
Do it.
Can you push it open?
I smell really badly. I'm sweating so much.
Me too.
Me too. Let's shut it.
Oh, awesome job. I feel like this will be easier to open.
Can you try opening it? Most activity I've ever actually seen, because my mom was always the one that saw the activity happening.
Can you please try pushing the doors open instead of shutting them?
Wow, nice job.
That's really impressive.
Oh, is it? Oh, never mind. That was just.
Okay.
Wait.
Good shutting them. Good job. Try keeping one open.
Nice job. Okay, guys, let's go downstairs.
Okay, we're gonna head downstairs, okay?
What stands out here isn't just the movement, it's the responsiveness. This entity wasn't doing its own thing and happening to interact with the doors, it was taking requests, adjusting to instructions, and operating within the parameters of the conversation. In paranormal research, that level of real-time interactive communication points toward an intelligent haunting that has been present long enough to understand how to engage, which lines up completely with the idea that these kids grew up alongside whatever this is. On a separate day, we see a similar level of casual familiarity with something that probably shouldn't feel casual at all. A young boy is sitting at the top of a carpeted staircase while a flashlight sits on a lower step, rigged so that the slightest internal contact turns it on or off, a classic method for spirit communication. The woman behind the camera asks if this is the same little boy they encountered the other night and tells it to turn the flashlight off if it is. It goes dark immediately. She starts guessing ages. 6, the light stays off. 7, and it flares back on with full brightness.
Oh, now I'm video. So we got flashlights today, my little Ghostbusters. Can you turn the flashlight? There it is. Are you the same little boy that was here the other night? Turn the flashlight off if you are. Are you 6 years old? Can you turn the flashlight on if you're 6? Or was he 7?
You're 6.
Okay, turn. Oh. Were you here the other night?
Is it on?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. We had to go to Ace Hardware and get our flashlights.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Keep the light on if you like me.
But the moment that makes this one unforgettable comes right at the end. The boy on the stairs decides to ask his own question, "Keep the light on if you like me." The flashlight clicks straight off. The kid facepalms, the group bursts out laughing, and somewhere in that house, a 7-year-old spirit just delivered a cleaner punchline than most people manage in a lifetime. So what do you think? Are these families sharing their homes with something harmless and familiar? Or is the easygoing nature of these interactions exactly what something more calculated would want them to believe? In this clip you're about to watch, a mum and her husband had been noticing things around their house that just didn't add up. Small stuff at first. The kind of thing you brush off and blame on stress or a long day. But when it keeps happening, you stop brushing it off and you start setting up cameras. They installed one the night before this was filmed, and it took less than 24 hours to catch something. She gets up from the little bouncy ball seat to put her baby down for a nap. A completely ordinary Tuesday afternoon moment. And that's when the ball starts moving on its own. No one near it, no draft, no pet bumping into it. Just a slow, deliberate sway that has absolutely no business happening in an empty room. Now here's what stands out the most. The movement isn't frantic or violent. It's almost calm, like whatever is in that house is just making its presence known, casual about it even. And that detail matters, because it tells us this isn't a one-time spike of energy. This is something comfortable, something that's been there long enough to feel at home. One thing that some paranormal researchers actually suggest in situations like this is acknowledging the presence out loud, letting it know you're aware of it, but firmly stating you want to be left alone. Some people swear by it. Whether it works consistently or not is a whole other conversation, but the fact that people reach for that strategy tells you something. Sometimes the most unsettling thing isn't the activity itself, it's the feeling that something is listening. And whatever is in this house, it's definitely listening, because the activity doesn't stop there. She's home alone this time when the camera picks up something that stops you cold right at the top of the footage. A male voice, clear enough to make you rewind it twice, says something that sounds exactly like, "Wash your hands with soap." That is a full sentence, spoken by a voice that has no physical body attached to it. And what makes it even more unnerving is how mundane it is. It's not a growl or a scream, it's instructions. Like something that used to live in that space is still going through the motions of daily life, completely unbothered by the fact that it's dead. This kind of EVP, where a disembodied voice speaks in plain, conversational language, is actually more commonly reported than people realize. There are accounts of people walking through a completely empty room and suddenly hearing a man's voice speak directly to them, close enough to feel like someone is standing right next to them. It never gets less terrifying, no matter how many times you hear it described. The third piece of footage is what really shifts this from active haunting to something potentially more layered. Her husband had just finished mounting a new camera in the hallway, and they were checking the angle on her phone when the camera picks up what sounds unmistakably like a child giggling. Her husband heard it with his own ears in real time. Their son was in his room playing, accounted for. But here's the detail that makes your skin crawl. His camera cut out at the exact moment the giggle was captured, and in the footage from his room, just seconds before, there's a faint whisper buried underneath the sound of him playing with his toys.
They'll pull on. Well, actually, I think they pull on their ears when they're teething, so I'm gonna look it up. Nice. What?
I don't know if he's discovered his ear and that's why he's playing with it, or if it's hers.
So what are we actually dealing with here? The combination of a calm, domestic presence moving objects, a male voice issuing mundane commands, and what sounds like a child's laughter points towards something layered, possibly multiple energies occupying the same space. In paranormal theory, a location that accumulates this kind of varied activity often acts as an anchor point, drawing in different residual imprints over time. But the fact that the son's camera cut out precisely during that giggle suggests something more intelligent than residual, something that's not just replaying the past, something that's aware of the cameras, aware of the family, and apparently fully settled in. So, what do you think? Is this family sharing their home with leftover echoes of the past, or is something far more intentional making itself comfortable in their house? In this next clip, Joe's mum told him back in 2019 that she was fighting demons in her house. And look, most of us would do exactly what Joe did, which is smile, nod, and quietly wonder if mum needs a vacation. But she wasn't asking him to take her word for it. She sent him footage, and whatever is in that video is very difficult to explain away. Up in the top right corner of the frame, there's a dark shape descending from the ceiling, not drifting, not floating, but coming down with a kind of slow, deliberate intention. Then she pans the camera away, and when she brings it back, it's gone, clean, like it was never there. But just when you're ready to chalk it up to a shadow or a trick of the light, it comes back.
In 2019, my mom said she was fighting demons in her apartment. I didn't believe her. She sent me video proof. Now someone tell me what in the grudge shit was going on here. I put picture at end of video, pause it, turn phone upside down and zoom in.
That reappearance is the detail that kills every rational explanation. Shadows don't leave and come back. Lens flares don't take a break and return on cue. Whatever this is, it's moving with awareness. In demonology, entities that descend from above rather than emerge from corners or doorways are considered particularly aggressive. They aren't wandering, they're approaching. The fact that Joe's mum used the word fighting and not experiencing tells you everything about what living in that house actually felt like. So, what do you think? Residual energy or something that came there with a purpose? This next clip was posted by a frightened mother, and you'll understand why the moment you watch it. But before you do, here's what you need to know. The little girl had already told her mom that someone was in the bedroom before any of this was recorded. Not something, someone. Specific enough that she grabbed her mum by the arm and asked her not to go in, not to open the door, not to even get close. What you're about to watch isn't a child being dramatic about the dark or spiraling over nothing. This is a little girl who has seen something, who knows exactly what she saw, and who is not willing, under any circumstances, to let her mother walk back into that room.
Blakey, you okay?
There's nothing you can do or say to change that.
Do you want me to go open the door? Why? No?
Sucks for you.
Okay. Okay, I'm honestly freaking the fuck out and I don't know what to do. Just a couple minutes ago, I got up and I closed my door because she kept pointing to my room saying, Mommy, someone's over there. And she was terrified. She was terrified. Of course, freaking me out. So I went over there and she just said, no, Mommy, come here, Mommy, sit, Mommy, don't go over there. And so I called the dog and I closed the motherfucking door. And as you can see, dude, she's still terrified. She's still terrified. She doesn't want me going over there. She doesn't want me to open the door. Dude, I'm terrified.
The mom tries to reason with her. Ask if she can just go open the door, keep it quick, nothing to worry about. And the answer is a firm, unwavering no. The kind of no that doesn't come from imagination. It comes from certainty. From a child who has already made up her mind about what's in there and doesn't understand why the adults around her aren't listening. But that was only the beginning of what this family captured that night. Because eventually, the mum does what every parent torn between protecting their child and finding a rational explanation has to do. She gets up. She tells her daughter she's going to check the room, keeps her voice steady and calm the way parents do when they're trying hard not to transfer their own fear onto their kid. And the little girl's response is immediate. She hides her face. And then she starts to cry. The kind of crying that comes from genuine terror, from watching someone you love walk towards something you know is there and being completely powerless to stop them.
Blakey, Mommy's gonna go open the door, okay? I'll be right back. It's okay. I'll be right back. now she's hiding her face. Dude, what the fuck? It's okay, baby. Okay, 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 okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, tell me I'm not. What do I do?
Now here's what you can't explain away. There is a belief that runs through almost every culture that has ever documented paranormal encounters, that children, particularly young ones, exist in a state of perception that adults lost somewhere along the way, that in growing up, in learning to categorize and rationalize and explain the world, we close off something we were born with, and that what looks like an overactive imagination in a frightened child is sometimes something else entirely, a clarity that the adults around them simply no longer have the equipment to access. Children that age don't sustain manufactured fear. They move on, get distracted, and forget. But this little girl didn't forget. Hours later, she still wouldn't let her mum anywhere near that room, a room she normally runs into without a second thought. Whatever she saw in there, it left a mark. So what do you think? Was there something in that room that only she could see? Or is this a case of a child's instincts picking up on something the rest of us have long since lost the ability to feel? In this next clip, we're stepping inside Willard Library in Evansville, Indiana, one of the oldest public libraries in the state, built in 1885, and by most accounts, never fully emptied of its original occupants. The Still Room Society, a group dedicated to investigating real hauntings and unexplained encounters, brought their equipment here on January 17th, 2026, and what they captured is exactly the kind of thing that makes a location's reputation stick. The library's most famous resident is known as the Grey Lady, an apparition that staff and visitors have been reporting for decades, wandering the corridors, triggering cold spots, flickering lights, and sending books off shelves with no one nearby to explain it. She's become so embedded in the identity of this place that people plan trips specifically hoping to cross her path.
I can hear you back there. Why don't you show yourself to me? I know this is your home, and I mean you no disrespect. I'm just curious about you, like why you're here and who you are. My name's Missy. I'd love to know more about you.
Now here's what makes Willard different from your standard allegedly haunted building. This isn't a location that earned its reputation from one dramatic incident and a few embellished retellings. The activity here has been consistent, documented, and reported independently by people who had no idea others had experienced the exact same things before them. That's the detail that separates a legend from something that actually warrants investigation. Cold spots in fixed locations, lights responding to no electrical fault, books that don't just fall, they fall from locked cases. The Grey Lady isn't a story someone made up to fill a slow news cycle. She's a pattern, and the Still Room Society didn't have to wait long for the library to remind them why they came. The building is completely empty during the second part of this footage. No staff, no visitors, no one moving through those corridors, and yet the cameras pick up sounds that have no business being there. Knocks, shuffling. The kind of audio that your brain immediately tries to assign a source to and comes up empty every single time.
If you peek out, I'll be able to see you.
We're up in the genealogy part of the library. And
What's significant here isn't just the sounds themselves, it's the consistency of where they're coming from and the fact that they respond to the investigator's presence. A truly empty building doesn't generate directional noise. When a location this old starts producing that kind of audio with no physical source attached, you're likely dealing with residual energy so deeply embedded in the architecture that it practically has its own schedule. Over 140 years of footsteps, whispered conversations, and human emotion soaked into the walls and the floors. Some locations don't just hold history, they replay it. So what do you think? Is the Grey Lady still making her rounds through the stacks, or is Willard Library simply too old and too full of the past to ever really go quiet? In this clip you're about to watch, a real estate photographer was doing what he's paid to do, walking through an old house, documenting the space, keeping it professional. But from the moment he stepped inside, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Not the vague, general unease you get from an unfamiliar place, something more specific than that. Something that followed him from room to room like a second heartbeat he couldn't account for. He comes down the staircase, camera rolling, and that's when it happens. Behind him, you can hear the distinct sound of footsteps, and a shadow moves down the stairs like something is following him, step by step, unhurried, unbothered by the fact that he might turn around at any moment. He's the only person in that house. There is no one above him on that staircase, no one on the landing, no one anywhere in the building. And yet, whatever cast that shadow came down those stairs the same way a person would, with weight, with rhythm, and with intention, like it had walked that staircase 100 times before and had every right to keep doing it. Whatever this was, it was aware of him. It was moving with purpose, and it was comfortable enough in that space to make no effort to hide. So he does what any rational person tries to do. He keeps working, stays focused, and leaves his camera running while he moves through the house. Again, while he's out of frame, the door swings violently open and slams shut completely on its own. Not a slow drift, not a gentle nudge from a cross breeze, but a full, aggressive open and shut that takes real force to produce. The kind of force that doesn't come from air pressure or a settling foundation. In paranormal research, doors are considered one of the most significant objects an entity can interact with because they represent barriers between rooms, between safety and exposure, between the known and the unknown. When an entity manipulates a door with that level of aggression, it isn't residual and it isn't accidental, that is intelligent activity, that is something making a deliberate statement about who actually controls that space. The photographer came in to do a job, but whatever lives in that house had already decided it wasn't interested in having a guest, and it wanted that point made clearly. But what is drawing this kind of energy to this specific location in the first place? That answer might be buried in the ground just outside. There's an old belief, one his dad apparently held firmly, that certain flowers only grow where a body has been laid in the earth, that something in the process of decomposition changes the soil in a way that pulls specific plants to the surface like a quiet botanical confession. Whether that's rooted in something scientifically observable or purely in generations of folklore, people have quietly used it as an informal marker for forgotten graves for a very long time. He goes outside and sure enough, there they are, just sitting in the ground, quiet and unassuming, in a place that suddenly feels a lot heavier than it did before, like the air itself is pressing down a little harder right there. And then he goes back. Because once you've seen something like that, once the weight of what it might mean settles in, you can't just leave it alone. He returns to the area, this time pushing further out to the field on the abandoned farm nearby, looking for grave markers, physical evidence of lives that history decided weren't worth recording, people swallowed up by time and neglect, and a landscape that kept growing over them without pause. And that's when the field starts talking back. Not wind, not an echo bouncing off the tree line. Voices, rising up out of a stretch of land that has been left to rot and be forgotten for years, as if the ground itself had been waiting for someone to come close enough to hear it. And here is where the full picture snaps into focus. The shadow that followed him down the stairs. The door that slammed with enough force to make a point. The flowers growing silently over what might be unmarked graves. And now voices surfacing from a field that may be sitting on top of people who never got a proper burial, never got a headstone, never got anyone coming back to remember them. In paranormal theory, locations built near or above unacknowledged remains act as anchor points, concentrating energy, creating the exact atmospheric conditions that allow entities not just to exist, but to grow stronger over time, pulling more of the dark in around them like a wound that never closed. That house isn't haunted. In spite of what's outside it, it may be haunted because of it. Whatever is moving through those rooms, slamming doors, and casting shadows on staircases could be tethered to what's buried just beneath the surface of that field, fed by it, grounded by it, and completely unbothered by whoever walks through the front door. So what do you think? Is the entity in that house a lost soul anchored to the forgotten graves just outside its walls? Or is something far darker using those remains as a source of power? In this next clip, a singer going by long-winded music on TikTok was doing something completely ordinary, filming a quick video to invite people out to watch her band perform, the kind of casual, throwaway content that takes 30 seconds to record and means nothing beyond the post itself. Except that somewhere between hitting record and hitting post, she captured something in the closet directly behind her that she almost certainly didn't notice in the moment. There's a shadow, a shape, something with enough density to register on camera, shifting inside that closet while she's standing right there, completely unaware. Not a hanger swaying, not a curtain catching air, a figure moving with the kind of slow deliberateness that puts it in a completely different category from anything you'd want to explain away.
I just want to know how I can get people to come to our shows. How do we get people to come to our shows? No, I'm just trying to understand. Tell me it doesn't look like there's someone right here. There's not.
And that's what makes this one stick. She wasn't ghost hunting. She wasn't in an abandoned building. She wasn't even trying to capture anything beyond a 30-second promo for her band. She was in her own space, in what should have been the most familiar and safe environment she knows, and something was standing in her closet, watching her film. In paranormal research, entities that appear in domestic spaces during completely mundane moments are considered far more unsettling than anything caught on a dedicated investigation, because it means there's no threshold, no special condition required for them to show up. So what do you think? Was that something passing through, or does long-winded music have a permanent audience she never agreed to? In this next clip, we're inside a small tailor shop in a marketplace late at night, long after the surrounding stalls have gone dark and quiet. The shopkeeper is still at it, head down, focused on his work, completely alone. Or at least, that's what he thinks, because the CCTV catches something that stops the whole scene cold. His reaction tells you everything. In paranormal research, markets and commercial spaces are considered high-energy locations. Decades of human traffic, emotion, and history soaked into the ground beneath them. Low-level kinetic activity, like this, small objects moving with quiet intention, is often one of the first signs of a presence making itself known. Not dramatic enough to cause panic, but deliberate enough that you can't quite shake it. So was something in that shop trying to get his attention? Or is there a less supernatural explanation just outside the camera's frame? In this next clip, we follow a mother named Sam who had been living with a persistent, creeping feeling for a long time. The kind that sits just below the surface. The sense that something in her own home was watching her, that she was never quite as alone as she should have been. She couldn't pin it down, couldn't point to anything specific, until she accidentally caught something on camera while filming her twin boys playing. The toddlers are running into a bedroom, completely in their own world, and buried in the audio is a distinct, disembodied woman's voice whispering, "Shh, quiet."
¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué está en el cuarto?
Sam confirmed she was completely alone in the house with her children at the time, no other adult present, no television running in the background, nothing that accounts for that voice. In paranormal research, this is a textbook EVP, an electronic voice phenomenon where an entity draws on the high energy chaos of playing children to push itself into the audible range and make contact. Kids that age generate exactly the kind of frantic, unfiltered kinetic energy that entities seem to be able to use as a bridge. But the specific choice of words is what makes this one linger. Why tell them to be quiet? Some investigators believe domestic spirits fall back into old behavioral patterns, disciplining out of habit like they still have authority over the space. Others take a darker view that something was trying to hush the boys specifically to avoid being picked up on the recording. So what do you think? Is this a protective presence watching over those kids, or something that very much preferred to stay hidden? In this next clip, we're with a man named David who is working alone in a house, a renovation job, just him and his tools, in a space he has the only key to. No one else is supposed to be there. No one else can get in. And yet from pretty early on, it becomes obvious that David has company he didn't clock in with. You can see small, light footsteps moving through the space, the unmistakable pattern of a child walking.
Okay, so my last video wasn't too long, so I didn't press a 10-minute icon bit. Anyways, I'm just getting into work, right? Nobody in this unit, I'm the only one besides the owner with the key, and the owner lives all the way in New York. I'm in Oakland, California. So this unit had a fire a few years back. This was a little girl's room. This was a room. And I'm like lost for words right now, I'm sorry. Like, catch my breath, I'm getting chills, the hair standing up on my arms. But the girl that happened to pass away in this unit was 3 years old. Look at what the fuck I see on the ground. Those are not an adult-sized footprint. One into the wall. This is where her bed was at, right here. I talked to the owner, I video called him and everything. And I've been here, and little kids laughing. I mean, I just thought it was coming from outside. But it's like a little. I felt something go like this in my ear, and yeah, I hear all the activity coming from that closet, and right here. But this really baffled me. Like I said, nobody else has the keys. There's no kids in here. I lock up everything. It's a 4-unit complex. Nobody's in here. Nobody. Been in here, there's an alarm system, so we got paranormal activity. Look at these little feet. Look at these little cute little feet. If you're in here, ghosts, I mean no harm. I'm Uncle Dave. You call me Uncle Dave. Just fixing up your room for you. Okay? But yeah, I believe in ghosts. So if you have anything paranormal, share it on Ghost. But man, I work in every environment, even if it's haunted. You know, but yeah, you know, but yeah, say something. You hear some ghosts or whatever, or capture ghost activity, share it, man. Okay, peace out. God is love. See you later.
That detail alone changes the entire weight of this footage, because this isn't just unexplained audio in a random building. There is a specific child tied to a specific room in this specific house, and that is exactly where the sounds are coming from. David isn't speculating. He knows the history of the property, and you can hear in his voice that the sounds he's picking up are not surprising to him, so much as they are confirming something he probably already suspected. And then right near the end, a female voice comes through clearly, a hi, and then what sounds like bye, just seconds later, calm and deliberate, like something that wanted to be heard before it stepped back. But what makes this one travel beyond just David's experience is what happened after he posted the footage. People started texting him, saying that after watching the video, they were seeing footprints appearing in their own homes. In paranormal theory, certain entities are believed to be capable of moving through recorded media, using the footage as a channel to follow the signal wherever it plays. So, what do you think? Did David accidentally open a door that was never meant to be found? Or is the little girl in that room just happy that someone finally showed up? In the following clip, what starts as a heartwarming family gathering takes a deeply unsettling turn. The footage centers on an elderly woman bathed in the warm glow of candles as her family sings to her. It's a standard, grainy home video, but the atmosphere subtly shifts when you look past the festivities and focus on the open doorway in the background. As the song reaches its peak, a distinct, childlike shadow darts across the room. The movement is quick but deliberate, and the shape clearly resembles a little girl. Watch closely. The grandmother appears entirely unaware of the anomaly behind her, completely absorbed in the moment. Yet, the camera captures what the human eye easily missed in the chaotic joy of the celebration. What makes this particularly chilling is the context that often accompanies such manifestations in paranormal circles. Some viewers theorize that the shadow may be deeply connected to the grandmother's past. A common narrative attached to this footage suggests that the woman may have lost a young daughter many decades ago. If that is the case, could this be the residual energy of a child returning to celebrate her mother's milestone? Or perhaps more ominously, certain folklore dictates that the sudden appearance of a long-deceased loved one acts as a harbinger, a spectral sign that they are preparing to guide the elderly family member to the other side. Is this simply a trick of the lighting, a living relative passing by unnoticed, or a fleeting glimpse of an entity from beyond the veil? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. In this next clip, we see exactly why working in a mortuary or a funeral home requires a profound level of mental fortitude and an inherent comfort with the concept of mortality. These facilities are designed to be final way stations for the deceased, places where families gather to release their heaviest, most agonizing emotions. Because of this intense concentration of grief and transition, paranormal researchers have long considered funeral homes to be highly active epicenters for the supernatural. Usually, this activity is thought to be residual, a sort of emotional echo permanently etched into the very foundations of the building. But what happens when that energy stops being a simple echo and begins to interact with the living? Recently, a mortuary worker began documenting her shifts after noticing a disturbing pattern of inexplicable disturbances, and her footage provides a terrifying look at an escalation that defies all logical explanation. The deeply unsettling series of events begins early one morning before the facility is officially open. The worker is alone, surrounded by the sterile, quiet atmosphere of the embalming rooms, quietly prepping for the arduous tasks ahead. Having felt a heavy, oppressive presence in the building during previous night shifts, she decides to keep her camera rolling. The silence of the mortuary is profound, but it doesn't take long for that quiet to be violently broken by an auditory anomaly. Take a look. Listening closely, the vocalization carries a highly peculiar tone. It sounds like a hollow, agonizing wail that almost borders on a mocking laugh. In the context of a funeral home, one might easily write this off as a trick of the acoustics or a draft whistling through the ventilation. However, the sheer volume and human-like cadence of the sound make it incredibly difficult to debunk. But as her documentation continues over the following days, it becomes terrifyingly clear that this presence is not just a passive recording of the past. It is fully aware of her, and it is growing bolder. In a subsequent recording, the worker is no longer alone. She is joined by her son, who frequently accompanies her to assist with the heavy lifting and late-night duties. The presence of a second witness completely shifts the dynamic, grounding the experience in absolute reality. Watch their immediate reaction as the physical environment begins to manipulate itself right in front of their eyes.
Are you always alone when you're there at night? So thankfully I'm not always alone. My son also comes to help me. He has been by my side for the last few years. He's going to be 19 soon, but he is so respectful, and he also helps on removals, and he helps me dress the loved ones. That's what we just got done with now. Tonight we had a loved one that was in really good shape, very peaceful, and it didn't take us long. And it's to the point where I don't even have to tell him what to do. He is already seasoned enough to know what we need to do. He hands me the correct tools. You know, he's a really good help. And I'm so thankful that Was that you?
No.
Was that you?
No. Look at the video, wasn't me.
What was that?
I don't know.
Well, what'd you hear?
I don't know. I don't know.
Why is that always happening?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm just thankful that he's here. So, and we're done. So.
A heavy, solid door is caught moving entirely on its own, unprompted by any visible force. Mortuary and hospital-grade doors are notoriously weighty, deliberately designed to seal off specific rooms and prevent air circulation. A simple draft, or the natural settling of an old building, simply does not possess the kinetic energy required to unlatch and move a door of that size. The genuine visceral shock on her son's face is perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence here. His fight or flight response is triggered instantly. This leap from an auditory phenomenon to a physical manipulation strongly suggests the anomaly has gathered enough energy to interact with our three-dimensional space. From this point forward, the tension within the facility compounds at a rapid pace, and the entity begins to localize its activity. While standing in the corridor, the mother and son are suddenly frozen by the sound of aggressive, inexplicable shouting originating from the facility's chapel.
Hey you guys, we haven't made a video in a little while, so I just wanted to come on and kind of refresh everybody with just a little mortician tip here. I don't know if everybody's aware. So when you bring in the clothing to the funeral home, yes, you want your loved one dressed in something either they loved, or say they were in the military and they have, you know, military getup that they want on, their favorite shirt, their favorite pants, pajamas even, just so everyone's aware. I think that this is something people don't tend to think about. But in our world, when families bring us clothing, sometimes they're not aware that in order for the clothing to really fit properly, say it's too big, too small, we have to cut the back of the clothing in order to place it on your loved one. So sometimes if families request the favorite shirt back, or, you know, their favorite set of whatever they have on, it will be cut. It's very rare, unless the clothing is perfectly fitted to that person, that the director won't have to cut it. I've worked in several funeral homes where they don't cut it, and it... Is anybody here?
No, what is here?
Who's here?
Time to go.
What?
Time to go.
We're the only ones here. I have to go look.
There's always when you video.
Okay, let's go. We're going.
The chapel is the emotional core of any funeral home, the exact room where the living confront their final goodbyes. The voices captured here are not faint whispers caught on a sensitive audio recorder. They are loud, confrontational shouts, echoing from a completely empty room. The aggression in the anomaly is so palpable that her son immediately states they need to leave, a primal instinct that the mother quickly and wisely agrees with. Fear is a natural response, and when an unseen entity begins raising its voice in an empty building, retreating is often the safest protocol. However, the most terrifying escalation occurs on an entirely separate day, proving that the entity is not a fleeting visitor, but a permanent resident. While filming in the facility, another loud, jarring noise emanates from the chapel doors. Rather than retreating this time, the mother and son decide to cautiously approach the room to investigate the source. But whatever is dwelling in that chapel seemingly senses their approach and pushes back with a massive display of power.
So we're here working. We were hearing some noises in the chapel, so we actually decided to come in the chapel and make this informative video to see if we could catch any of the noises. So I'm gonna explain what this is on today's mortuary information video. So there are times where we get loved ones who are donors. They're bone donors. They take skin, they take what they can for things that anybody may need, right? So when they come to us, we have to prepare them properly. And sometimes there are issues where there can be leakage. So in order to prevent the leakage and keep it contained, the deceased would go in one of these, which is called a unional. A unional contains all of the fluid and contains all the fluid, and it makes sure that while your loved one is being presented in the visitation, we don't have any issues with anything, you know. Okay, let's go see, because now I'm in the chapel and I'm not. Oh my God.
Did the lights go
Dude,
off?
the lights went off right when that happened.
You wanna go?
It's always when we're recording. It never fails.
It's the camera.
Anyways.
Just as they step forward to uncover the source of the disturbance, the lights in the corridor are completely severed, plunging them into absolute darkness. This sudden blackout is deeply baffling and crosses a dangerous line. In paranormal theory, it is widely believed that spirits and entities require vast amounts of ambient energy to manifest physically or audibly. They will often drain batteries, drop the ambient temperature, or siphon power directly from a building's electrical grid. The precise timing of this blackout suggests an intelligent entity capable of manipulating the environment, either draining the power to gather strength for a larger manifestation or intentionally plunging the room into darkness to assert dominance and incite terror. It is a calculated, psychological strike against the witnesses. Even after this intense, confrontational encounter, the presence refuses to back down, continually toying with the worker and her environment. In a final piece of footage, the mortuary worker is attempting to film a standard update, speaking calmly to the camera. Yet, the entity reminds her exactly who is in control of the space. The lighting above her begins to pulse and flicker erratically. To prove there is no logical interference, she immediately pans the camera to the wall, revealing a completely empty hallway and confirming that no one is anywhere near the light switch.
Everyone, it's 11:45 p.m. and I'm here at the funeral home, and I wanted to make a video to kind of explain. A lot of people aren't aware or are confused as to why funeral directors are at the funeral home at 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So death can occur at any time, morning, afternoon, evening, and funeral directors have to be ready to go at any time. So, you know, if a funeral director gets a call, they'll make that removal at the place of death, bring the loved one to the funeral home, and if they are going to be embalmed, that embalming is usually done at that time. So funeral directors can be at the funeral home all night. If they are getting multiple calls while they're embalming, they have to stop and go and come and finish and go and come and stop and all that stuff. So sometimes funeral directors are at the funeral home all night, and then they have to work in the office the next morning, meeting with families, taking out services. It can get really exhausting, but for me tonight, I am here, or I just got finished dressing a loved one for their services tomorrow. And I like to come in the night because there's no one here. It's peaceful, it's quiet. I can take my time and pay 100% full attention to that loved one without worrying, you know, oh, I have to go answer the phone, or I have to leave on a call. I can just actually come and take my time and concentrate. So I do like coming in the night because of that. And don't like that. The light switch is right there, and the light just flickered. And I'm gonna cut this video short because that is cue for It's My Time to Go.
The intelligence behind these combined occurrences is highly disturbing. We are looking at a clear, methodical escalation. What began as a distant, mournful cry evolved into the physical manipulation of heavy doors, aggressive vocalizations, and the deliberate, targeted manipulation of the building's electrical system. The facility appears to be hosting something that absolutely demands to be acknowledged. Is this simply the collected, heavy energy of 1,000 grieving families manifesting physically in the architecture, or has a specific, highly intelligent entity refused to cross over, trapping itself forever between the chapel and the embalming room? I'll leave you to be the judge. In this next clip, a worker at what appears to be a large cemetery or mortuary complex captures a series of events that suggest he is far from alone during his night shift. According to the man recording, he began documenting the area after noticing small objects being toyed with by an unseen force. Though he speaks in Spanish, the terror in his voice is universal as he repeatedly asks, "Who is there?" The footage begins with a focus on a simple water bottle resting on a flat stone ledge. Take a look.
¿Vieron la botella? ¿Vieron la botella? ¿La vieron? Si estás aquí, manifiéstate. Escucho algo. Escucho algo. ¿Hola? Mira, se cayó, se cayó, se cayó, se cayó, se cayó. Al mismo tiempo, amigos, al mismo tiempo, mira alguien ahí al fondo. Buenas noches. ¡Ay, Dios! ¡Ay, Dios! ¡Ay, Dios! No, 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 no. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Hola? Ay. ¿Quién eres? Ven. Hay alguien aquí. Hay alguien aquí. Hola.
The initial movement of the water bottle is unsettling. It doesn't slide as if pushed by a localized draft, but rather shifts with a deliberate jerky motion that suggests a physical grip. As the worker ventures deeper into the narrow corridors between the tombs, the activity becomes more aggressive. A large plastic container is caught on camera falling and tumbling across his path, appearing as though it were violently thrown from the dark recesses of the complex. The anomaly only deepens when the camera pans toward the back of the graveyard, briefly catching a glimpse of a pale, stationary figure standing over a grave in the distance. The most baffling part of this encounter, however, involves the religious iconography present at the site. Among the various items being manipulated, the large cross mounted atop one of the tombs appears to shift and tilt on its own. In paranormal research, the physical movement of heavy, fixed objects, especially those of a religious nature, is often categorized as high-energy poltergeist activity. It suggests an entity capable of significant kinetic output, or perhaps a residual energy that has become strong enough to influence the physical world. If you were alone in a graveyard and witnessed a cross-shifting of its own accord, would you stay to see what manifested next, or would you find a new line of work? In the following clip you're about to watch, we take a midnight stroll through Tokyo's Aoyama Cemetery, a location legendary for its haunting history and ghost sightings. Most people are completely terrified to even step foot on these grounds after dark, but one brave explorer decided to walk through the shadows to see what the fuss was all about. While navigating the dark pathways, he suddenly hears a distinct cat meowing that startles him in the quiet night. His reaction was quick as he pans the camera towards the cemetery. However, when he watched the footage back, his camera picked up absolutely no trace of the feline's voice. But the missing audio isn't the most disturbing part of the walk. If you look carefully, when the camera turns into the cemetery area, a dark, shadow-like entity can be seen lingering amidst the tombstones. He was completely oblivious to its presence in the moment, not until people in the comments pointed his attention to it. So what exactly was stalking him from the dark, and why did it mask itself? In paranormal research, entities often use auditory trickery, known as phantom sounds, to disorient or distract a person. This could be an earthbound spirit, perhaps a residual energy of someone buried there, projecting the familiar sound of a meowing cat to lower his guard. By mimicking a harmless domestic animal, the spirit may have been trying to siphon his kinetic energy or lure him off the path while its shadow form observed him from the safety of the graves. Was this just a lonely soul using a familiar sound to draw a living connection, or was a predatory entity trying to lure him deeper into the dark? In this next clip, an explorer decides to investigate a reported ghost sighting in the dense woods near his home. Equipped with a borrowed color night shot camera, he ventures out alone after dark to see if there is any truth to the local rumors. The initial atmosphere is completely still, but as he scans the tree line, he catches sight of a strange, pale anomaly shifting between the trees. He tries his best to steady his hands and zoom in for a better look, but whatever the entity is, it dissolves back into the shadows just as quickly as it appeared.
Where's it gone? There was something there. Sure I saw something. Where is it? It was around here somewhere. It was here somewhere, but it's gone. I don't know where it is.
But the story didn't end in the forest. On a separate night, the creator experienced a deeply unsettling scenario. The realization that whatever presence you disturb in the wild might just follow you back to your personal space. While checking on a sudden disturbance in his own backyard, his camera picks up another pale, ambiguous figure moving stealthily behind the bushes. In paranormal research, a sequence like this is heavily associated with a concept known as spiritual attachment. The theory suggests that entities aren't always anchored to a single geographic location. Instead, when an individual enters their domain with a high level of hyperfocus, anticipation, and adrenaline, that intense emotional output can act like a beacon. The entity is thought to absorb this energy, using it as fuel to latch onto the investigator and follow them straight back to their home property. However, this footage has sparked an intense debate, and the skeptics make some incredibly strong arguments against it. Those who believe the video is fake point out that the heavy camera, shaking, sudden blurs, and rapid panning are classic techniques used to mask video edits or hide a practical effect, like a person in light clothing. Furthermore, early night shot cameras were notorious for heavy compression, meaning a stray reflection or a common nocturnal animal could easily be distorted into a ghostly shape. On the flip side, there are reasons to believe it could be genuine. Defenders of the clip point out the organic way the figure blends behind the complex, overlapping layers of branches, a feat that would have been remarkably difficult to cleanly render with consumer-grade digital editing software back when this was originally filmed. They also argue that the ambient audio and the raw tension in his breathing sound entirely unscripted. This leaves us with a classic supernatural dilemma. Was this just a clever piece of doctored footage meant to create an internet hoax? Or did this man genuinely capture an entity that followed him home from the woods? I'll let you decide. In this next clip, an Uber Eats driver named Marcus captures a bizarre chain of events while making a late-night delivery right next to a cemetery. While on his route, he begins hearing a heavy tapping and vibrating sound against his passenger window. With no one visible outside, he pulls over to check the exterior of his vehicle and see if something is caught underneath. While investigating outside, Marcus points his camera toward a discarded shoe sitting on a piece of cardboard by the curb, which suddenly shifts on its own. He quickly gets back into the driver's seat, but the situation escalates further when the passenger door unlatches and swings wide open completely by itself. What makes this sequence even more unusual is what Marcus discovered only after reviewing his dashcam footage later on. The interior camera shows a faint, translucent anomaly hopping directly through the closed passenger window just before the window began vibrating.
Doing my usual Uber eating, dropping off some food. I swear, this all address gotta be set by a cemetery, bro. I see this again, I'm just not gonna accept it. I'll tell you that. I'm not tripping. No. Make sure I'm not tripping. So, I'm dropping off the DoorDash, the Uber eating. I can't even get my daggone company straight. And you're gonna see a vibration. But see tapping at the window. He's definitely gonna hear it. What the fuck? What the fuck was... Oh, hell no. Hell no. What the? Why? What the? No, no. Oh hell, what the fuck was shit? Shit, me. Oh, shit. Oh hell, no. Hell. Oh, no. Nope. No. 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 No.
In paranormal research, proximity to a cemetery significantly increases the likelihood of encountering active spiritual energy. Graveyards are massive repositories of residual human history, and entities lingering in these spaces are frequently drawn to the bright headlights and kinetic energy of passing vehicles. The anomaly caught on the interior camera points toward a deliberate manifestation attempt. Because spirits lack a physical form, they must manipulate nearby objects, like the roadside shoe, or generate intense kinetic force to make their presence known, which directly explains the sudden, heavy vibrations on the window glass. Furthermore, unlatching and opening the heavy car door suggests the entity was executing a clear progression of activity, moving from outside disturbances to a physical invasion of Marcus's personal space. By utilizing the ambient energy of the environment, the presence managed to cross structural boundaries that would normally keep the physical world separate from the spiritual. So, do you think Marcus unwittingly invited a restless soul into his passenger seat? Or was this cemetery entity actively looking for a way to escape the confines of the graveyard? In this next clip, we look at a video captured by parents during a normal family gathering. At the start, a toddler is sitting calmly until his attention is drastically pulled toward the center of the room. His eyes clearly track an invisible path left and right, and he begins pointing towards something, following a trajectory that his parents completely miss. He then begins imitating the unseen presence, gesturing as if interacting with something right in front of him.
Non! Il est drôle avec son petit nom, hein? Il est vraiment dans le Terrible 2, là, tu sais. Qu'est-ce que tu checkes là? C'est des fantômes, mon amour! Qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Hein? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Quoi? Hein? Quoi? Parle! 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 Non! C'est comme, c'est moi la peste, si. Je m'en parlais, mais ça me tente. Je m'inquiète pas, tu vas parler en tabarouette. Ah ben non, on va dire, Colin, t'en rappelles-tu quand il parlait pas? Est-ce qu'on était bien, hein? Parce qu'il va me poser plein de questions tout le temps. Pourquoi papa ça? Pourquoi papa ça? Pourquoi maman ça? Pourquoi maman ça? On va bénir le temps où il faisait juste encore des sons.
Alex, il est tard.
Si je vois pas le bas de la queue.
C'est bien, bien, on va voir juste l'armoire là.
Non, on le voyait super bien.
Il a caché là. Il vient de cacher qu'il est filmé là.
Là, tu peux te filmer là. Tu peux te filmer encore.
L'oublie. Non. Oh ouais. J'ai pas de manger l'assiette, allez l'eau. Oh.
Tes dents.
C'est un peu là. Là, comment on va la stabiliser, la scène? C'est quoi que tu vas mettre là? Tu vas les mettre pour la figer là? Moi, il y a personne qui t'avait donné à manger, hein?
Young children are widely believed to possess a heightened sensitivity to spiritual phenomena. The underlying theory suggests that toddlers have not yet developed the psychological filters or rational skepticism that adults use to dismiss unusual sensory data, leaving their perception open to subtle environmental shifts and entities. In this instance, the child's reaction is not a gradual drift into daydreaming, but a sudden and deliberate engagement with a specific spot in the room. His physical tracking and imitation imply he is observing a clear visual stimulus. This could indicate an interaction with a residual energy signature or an intelligent spirit, perhaps a deceased relative, visiting the household. What do you think caught this toddler's eye? Was it just a sudden burst of a vivid imagination, or are young children genuinely capable of seeing things adults cannot? In this next clip, a family grieving a loss experiences a beautiful and bizarre moment of farewell. The on-screen text translates to, "If they hadn't recorded it, we wouldn't have believed it," as the family describes their belief that their deceased sister used a white, star-shaped foil balloon to navigate the house one last time to say goodbye and apologize to her brother. As you watch, the balloon moves down the hallway and enters the bedroom, where the brother is sitting quietly on the edge of the bed. Instead of drifting aimlessly toward the ceiling or being erratically pushed by a draft, the balloon appears to travel along a deliberate path, hovering directly in front of the young man. The most compelling detail occurs toward the end of the footage, when the brother suddenly flinches and stands up quickly from the bed, reacting as if someone had just physically touched him. Watch. Lightweight objects like balloons are frequently reported as mediums used by spirits to communicate, as they require very little kinetic energy to manipulate or guide. The family firmly interprets this event as a genuine spiritual farewell, dedicating the footage with the message, "Siempre vas a estar con nosotros, mi reina," which translates to, "You will always be with us, my queen." So what do you think? Was this an extraordinary coincidence involving indoor air currents, or did a grieving brother receive a tangible, physical sign from his sister? In this next clip, a mother's desperate plea for help online reveals a deeply unsettling situation unfolding inside her home. According to her, the paranormal activity started subtly. Her 10-month-old daughter began interacting with things that simply weren't there, allegedly looking up at the doorways and saying hi to invisible figures. Soon after, electronic toys in the house began turning on and going off completely by themselves. But the activity quickly took a dark turn when the toddler began suffering from severe night terrors, waking up at 2 a.m. screaming, "Get away from me!" The mother couldn't figure out what was going on until one afternoon, while she was sitting in her room feeding her baby, a heavy bowl violently flew off a nearby shelf. She immediately checked her indoor security camera to see exactly what had happened. Take a look.
So here's my dog Callie on the couch. Here's Titan on the couch. Sorry if it's a little bit off. Pixelation right here. Then there's pixelation right here, hovering above the baby crib. And then it'll come over and there's pixelation and you can see the actual figure standing here and a hand shove off this bowl. Then as the bowl falls back over here in the baby crib, this demon baby
When she initially shared this story and the footage, many viewers were extremely skeptical. People in the comments were quick to dismiss the activity, claiming the electronic toys were just malfunctioning due to stray radio waves, and that the bowl falling was likely caused by heavy-footed neighbors upstairs shaking the walls. Frustrated by the disbelief and terrified for her child's safety, she decided to share a second, much more detailed piece of footage. She wanted to prove to the skeptics that what was happening in her home was not a mechanical glitch, and it certainly wasn't the neighbors. Watch closely.
Some of you are saying that you cannot see what I'm talking about. It took me a good minute when my sister showed me, but once I seen it, I couldn't unsee it. So just to kind of make it easier for you, because I know you can't really zoom in on TikTok, I will repost a shortened version for you so you can see exactly what I'm talking about in both spots.
There is a lot to unpack here. When you look at the sheer force required to throw an object off a shelf like that and pair it with a toddler screaming at unseen figures in the middle of the night, it becomes much harder to blame radio frequencies or thin walls. In the paranormal field, poltergeist activity is notoriously known to center around young children, often draining their raw, developing energy to manifest physical disturbances. However, a child explicitly yelling for an unseen entity to get away suggests something far more intelligent and highly intrusive is lurking in that room. If you look closely at the footage she captured, the way the objects are manipulated seems incredibly deliberate. Are the toys and falling objects just a series of bizarre, explainable coincidences perfectly captured on camera? Or is a dark, unseen presence attaching itself to this young family? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. This next clip captures a home environment where the boundary between the physical and the unseen appears to have completely dissolved. A resident, already on edge from previous disturbances, decided to document his living room after the atmosphere became noticeably heavy. While electrical flickers are often dismissed as faulty wiring, what occurs in this footage suggests a level of mechanical manipulation that is far more difficult to explain away. The setting is a standard entryway, but the activity is anything but routine. Take a look.
Try to see if that thing was shot.
Oh
my
God.
God.
No, baby, I'm not going over there. This is too much.
How the
for me
fuck
right
is that
now.
motherfucker turning on? Is a light switch really flickering?
These things are really fucking with us like this right now.
Baby, come on, hold on, wait a minute, wait a
I'm
minute.
trying not to show my fear, but this is really fucking freaking
Wait a minute,
me
baby.
out.
How the fuck is that motherfucker like fucking... Wait a minute. Oh shit!
Oh,
Jesus
fuck
fucking
no.
Christ, what was that,
Baby.
baby? What was that? Hold on, baby, hold on, wait a minute. Is that the fucking... Baby, is that the umbrella? You... Baby, hold on, wait a minute.
I can't
Wait a
do
minute,
this
hold on,
right
wait a
now.
minute, wait a minute. How the fuck is the umbrella?
I'm not scared. I'm not gonna fucking act scared of these fucking things. I'm so
Baby.
tired of this.
The umbrella goes over there?
Yeah, it was over there.
Hold on, let me check, hold on. Stay here, hold on, stay here. Stay here. The umbrella goes right here, don't it? What the fuck?
Baby, I'm so done with this.
What the fuck was that? What was...
Oh, fuck.
Baby, come on. Hey, wait a minute,
No,
wait a
this
minute.
is just getting
Wait a
ridiculous.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Leave us alone.
Hey, hey, who goes out there? What the fuck? Baby, come on. No. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How the fuck is that motherfucker trying? Whoa, shit. Hold on. Wait a minute. Baby, hold on.
Go away.
Wait a minute. Here, come here. Shut that light off real quick. Shut that light off.
Fucking go away.
Shut that light off. Oh my God.
Fucking leave us alone.
Hold on, baby. How the fuck is that motherfucker turning on? Like there's no fucking way.
Leave us alone.
That motherfucker's just literally
This
turning
is
on
so
like
fucked
that.
up, baby. I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
That motherfucker, baby. How?
I gotta
Why
leave
in the
now.
right state of mind
This
do
is
you
so
have energy
fucking
to shut
ridiculous, dude.
lights off? You know, and fucking come on, baby. We gotta go to the room. Hold on,
Come on, I'm going to the bed. I can't do this no more. This is fucking so fucked up.
baby. Hold on. You gotta hold me tight,
You gotta get.
baby.
You gotta get the shit out of here, baby.
We gotta try to... Baby, I don't fucking know how the fuck to do this. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Baby, it don't feel right in here. I feel
How the fuck is that light turning on like that?
Weird shit in here right now. It's so fucking
Hey,
cold in here, too.
whoever's in
Fuck,
here,
dude.
whoever's in here, stop the switching.
Go away!
Stop the switching.
Get out of our fucking house!
Stop!
Baby, I'm going in the bedroom.
Stop.
I gotta go to the bedroom.
Wait a minute.
What makes this footage particularly peculiar is the light switch itself. If you look closely, you can see the physical toggle snapping up and down as if moved by an invisible finger. This isn't just a bulb failing, it's a manual interaction with the home's infrastructure. The escalation continues moments later when the man notices an umbrella lying in the middle of the floor. In paranormal research, this combination of electrical interference and the displacement of heavy objects is often indicative of a high-energy poltergeist. These manifestations are known to target specific areas of a home using localized energy to exert physical force on the environment. The resident's verbal reaction grounds the fear. He isn't just witnessing a glitch, he's watching his home be manipulated in real time. Is this a case of extreme electrical surges affecting mechanical switches, or is there an entity in the house making its presence undeniably known? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. In this next clip, we're following a guy named Jorge who was just trying to have a chill night at home. They say you shouldn't watch horror movies alone, mostly because your brain starts playing tricks on you, but for Jorge, the real scare wasn't on the screen. It was happening right behind his desk. While he was deep into a video, he noticed his bedroom curtains starting to sway. We're not talking about a gentle nudge from a breeze. They were moving with a heavy, deliberate motion. Jorge was quick to point out that every fan in the room was killed, and the windows were sealed tight. There was zero airflow, yet the fabric was acting like it was being pulled by an invisible hand. Hoping to catch a prankster, or maybe just find a logical explanation that would let him sleep, he finally worked up the nerve to look down at the street below.
So I'm just chilling in my room. The fans are on. When I was just watching this scary-ass video, shadow figure just standing outside, like on the street, and just moved. I have no idea where my curtains are moving. Like, see, none of them were moving. Let's peek outside. It's like right there. That's a street lamp, but what is that underneath it? Cause that wasn't there 10 minutes ago, so I have no idea right now.
Standing directly under the pool of a flickering street lamp was a dark, stationary silhouette. It wasn't a neighbor out for a walk or a random passerby. This figure was perfectly still, seemingly staring up at his window with an eerie, unblinking intensity. Jorge noted that the street was completely empty just 10 minutes prior, making this figure's sudden appearance feel very intentional. In paranormal circles, this is often labeled as a watcher. These entities are frequently reported in conjunction with physical disturbances, like those moving curtains, suggesting they're capable of interacting with the environment from a distance. Whether this was a literal prowler or something much more spectral, the absolute stillness of that figure is enough to make anyone double-check their locks. This next clip starts off innocently enough, tapping into a childhood classic that quickly descends into a paranormal nightmare. A father is playing a seemingly harmless game of hide and seek with his young daughter, Ariana. But right from the start, there's a red flag. She tells him she isn't playing alone. She's hiding with her imaginary friend, Mabel. The father brushes it off, agreeing to be the seeker. He begins his count to 10, but before he can even finish, the lights in the house abruptly shut off. Armed only with a flashlight, he begins his search, navigating through the dark, silent house. As he reaches the top of a staircase, the silence is broken by a heavy thud, and a red ball inexplicably bounces down the steps toward him.
Ariana, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm playing hide and seek.
With who?
Oh, okay. Would you want to play hide and seek with me?
Sure.
Okay, now you can play with the real person, so I'm going to actually look for you, and I'm going to do all the counting, okay?
Alright.
Okay, and you're going to be the one hiding.
Alright.
Okay, ready? I'm going to count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What? Turn off the lights, cheating. There we go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here I go. Better be in a good spot. Where are you? Ariana, could you be in the closet? Gotcha! Ariana? 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 Ah, I see you behind the dresser. Ariana?
You found me!
Oh, what?
Did Mabel tell you where I was?
What? Let's get out of here. Come here. Where are you? Ah, I see you behind the dresser. Yeah?
You found me!
Oh, what?
Did Mabel tell you where I was?
What? Let's get out of here.
In paranormal research, entities often attach themselves to children, appearing as imaginary friends because kids are incredibly receptive and easy to manipulate. The fact that the lights went out simultaneously and the ball moved independently proves Mabel isn't a figment of Ariana's imagination. She's a physical entity with enough energy to manipulate the environment. But it's Ariana's final question that confirms the true horror. The entity wasn't just hiding with her, it was actively communicating with her, blurring the line between a harmless game and a sinister attachment. The father's immediate panicked reaction to grab his daughter and flee the room is the only correct response when you realize your child's playmate isn't from this world. In this next clip, we look at the infamous Cloon Park estate in Port Glasgow, a decaying, nearly entirely abandoned complex of 430 flats that locals refer to as Scotland's Chernobyl. The creator is filming the desolate, pitch-black exterior of the tenement blocks at night, a place where no one should be wandering alone. But as the camera pans up the grim facade, it locks onto a single window on an upper floor. Inside, illuminated against the absolute blackness of the gutted room, is a pale, static shape.
Just watch this.
Isn't it? Future in hand.
430 abandoned flats, and there is something in the window.
Open. Yo. You see movement then? Move the light. Yo. Yo. The fuck is that?
Now, here's where the reality of the location makes the footage even creepier. Locals in the comments of the post didn't call it a hoax, they all pretty much validated the dread. People who have accidentally driven through the estate at night report seeing the exact same thing, unexplainable figures standing at the windows of flats that have been dead for years. In paranormal theory, a location with this much history of economic collapse, despair, and abandonment can become a residual sink, trapping the heavy energy of the past and replaying it like a broken record. Whether it's the spirit of a former shipyard worker, an urban explorer playing a trick, or one of the few remaining residents keeping a silent watch in the dark, you wouldn't catch me walking those streets at night to find out. In the following footage, a Reddit user known as Melodic District 264 captures a series of events in what appears to be a service corridor or a storage section of an apartment complex. According to the uploader, he only began recording after hearing a distinct, violent sound while his back was turned. The sound of a heavy, yellow cable being smacked against the wall by an unseen force. He decided to investigate the source of the noise, venturing into the hallway with his phone camera ready. What he captures is a manifestation of movement that is difficult to explain through natural drafts or structural settling. Take a look.
Nigga, something just smacked the fuck. Yo, nigga, what I say, nigga? I mean, I ain't that scared, but no mama is.
The footage shows a yellow cable suddenly tensioned and whipped against the wall with enough force to create an audible crack. In an area like this, one might look for a logical explanation, such as a localized gust of wind, but the way the cable is pulled back before the snap suggests a deliberate physical grip. Furthermore, as the camera pans toward the shadows at the end of the corridor, the atmosphere feels heavy, as if the camera is capturing a residual energy left behind in the bowels of the building. The uploader was so disturbed by the physical nature of this manifestation that he shared the footage seeking an explanation for the escalating activity. While skeptics might suggest a hidden line or a snag in the building's infrastructure, the speed and isolation of the movement remain baffling. Is it possible that the utility areas of buildings, often neglected and empty, can play host to this kind of unsettling activity? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. In December of 2025, Daisy Summer shared a series of distress calls from her home. According to Daisy, the atmosphere in her house had shifted significantly, characterized by peculiar sounds echoing through the halls during the late night hours. The following footage captures her attempt to document the anomaly after a particularly unsettling encounter while she was getting ready for work. Her distress is palpable as she recounts seeing something in her bathroom that defied logic. Keep your eyes on the shadow extending from behind the bathroom door.
Holy shit, I was just getting ready for work and I freaking saw something in my bathroom that scared the freaking shit out of me. I don't know what it was, but it looked like a ghost. Like literally, I think I just saw a ghost. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of my house. I'm so scared. It was like right there where those shadows are. Those are shadows from the towel right there. But there was like a shadow right there where those other shadows are. And it looked like a person. It looked like a ghost. Like right there. Oh shit. Holy fuck! Ah!
You can see a dark, elongated mass is visible near the floor, seemingly separate from the natural shadows cast by the surrounding furniture. While some viewers initially suggested it was merely a trick of the light, the escalation occurs toward the very end of the clip. Just as she pans away, a dark protrusion, resembling a head or a limb, briefly extends from behind the doorframe into the hallway before she bolts in terror. The movement is fluid and lacks the jagged quality of a digital artifact or a camera glitch. In the realm of paranormal research, this behavior is often associated with shadow people, entities that are frequently reported as peeking from corners or lurking in the periphery of vision. Many researchers believe these manifestations are not just residual hauntings, but sentient entities that feed off of high-frequency human emotions, specifically fear and anxiety. By peeking out and then retreating, the entity may be deliberately testing Daisy, gauging her reaction to maximize the emotional output it can draw from her. Some viewers in the comments suggested that Daisy's sheer terror might actually be strengthening the entity's presence. One user suggested that instead of fleeing, she should have met the anomaly with anger or annoyance, theorizing that by removing the food source of fear, the entity would lose its ability to manifest physically. What do you think? Was this a temporary overlap of dimensions, or a predatory entity thriving on the atmosphere of a frightened household? This next clip explores the thin line between grief and the supernatural, where a house once filled with life suddenly feels hollow. In late 2024, Tonya Richardson began documenting what she believes is the residual energy of her beloved Maltese, Frenchie, who had passed away 5 months prior. Tonya explains that Frenchie had a very specific habit. She loved to burrow under the blankets and playfully chase Tonya's feet. What began as a memory soon manifested as a physical occurrence that Tonya captures in real time. The setting is her quiet bedroom, where the blankets begin to shift in a manner that is uncannily familiar. Take a look.
Y'all see that? My feet are literally right here. My blanket will just randomly move like that. That is so weird. Stop! Y'all, my hair standing on my arms because that's creepy. It does this about the same time every morning. So I'm not sure what it is trying to tell me something, but it's creepy.
The movement captured is both fluid and localized. You can see the duvet bunching and sliding as if a small weight is pressing against it from underneath. While a draft or a mechanical fan might cause a light ripple, this particular motion has a distinct hopping quality. The blanket doesn't just flutter, it appears to be nudged by a deliberate physical force. It's an unsettling sight, yet Tonya speaks to the empty space with a sense of comfort, convinced that Frenchie has returned to her favorite spot. However, as the days passed, the activity didn't just remain a comfort, it became more frequent and intense. Skeptics often point to simple explanations like hidden pets or household fans, but Tonya was determined to rule out any logical interference. To provide context for the escalation, she decided to pull back the veil and show exactly what or what isn't behind the movement.
My baby come to see me again. Frenchie, what you doing? What you doing? Are you gonna play tonight? Are you gonna play? There you are. Hello. Hello. What you doing? What you doing, baby? You trying to find the right spot? Just not finding the right spot, huh? Look, nothing under the bed. Look, nothing under the sheets. Nothing there. Nothing there.
The most baffling part of this footage occurs when Tonya lifts the heavy comforter. As she clears the area, the movement stops instantly, and the space beneath the sheets is completely empty. She even goes as far as to show the area under the bed, proving there are no other pets or hidden devices that could be tethered to the fabric. The ghostly weight seems to vanish the moment it's observed directly, a pattern often noted in poltergeist-style manifestations, where an entity reacts to direct human focus. In the paranormal community, some believe these fur baby hauntings are beautiful signs of a bond that transcends death. Others, however, take a more cautious approach. There is a theory that certain opportunistic entities can mimic the behaviors of a lost loved one or pet to gain trust and lower a person's spiritual guard. By imitating the kangaroo jumping style Frenchie was known for, an anomaly could potentially root itself in the home by feeding off the residents' grief and longing. Whether this is a heartwarming visit from a loyal companion or a more deceptive manifestation remains a topic of heavy debate among viewers. Some find the footage profoundly moving, while others feel an instinctual dread at the sight of the empty sheets shifting on their own. I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. This next clip highlights just how quickly a familiar space can turn hostile. In January of 2026, Perry and her roommate were at home alone when they were startled by a series of inexplicable sounds. The atmosphere within the apartment shifted from relaxed to high alert in a matter of seconds, as the duo began to suspect they weren't as alone as they thought. The footage captures their immediate reaction, and the sheer urgency in their body language is undeniable. Take a look.
I'm recording. Wait. Do you hear that? Can you check the security footage? Oh my god. What is it?
The panic is palpable as they move through the apartment, whispering and checking corners. Rather than risk exiting through the front door, where the sounds seemed to originate, the two roommates were so convinced of an intruder that they opted to flee through a window instead. However, the mystery only deepened when they later reviewed their security footage. A motion-sensing camera pointed at the kitchen began to track an invisible presence. The software identifies a person in the empty space just above a robot vacuum cleaner, tracking the anomaly as it moves across the floor. Yet nothing is visible to the human eye. The escalation continued throughout the night, with the roommates capturing further evidence that suggests something far more complex than a simple intruder. In this follow-up, the camera captures the heavy front door mysteriously unlatching and swinging open of its own accord. There is no visible hand on the handle, and the roommates are nowhere near the entrance. In the paranormal world, this kind of activity is often categorized as a skinwalker manifestation or a highly active poltergeist, particularly when senses are triggered by empty space. Some viewers pointed out that the way the sensor tracked the movement above the vacuum suggests an entity with a distinct height and mass, even if it remains shrouded from the light spectrum. While skeptics might suggest a draft or a mechanical failure in the door latch, the combination of the roommate's genuine fear and the camera's technical detection of a person makes this case particularly baffling. Could there be something dwelling within the walls of the apartment, or perhaps a transient entity that followed one of them home? If your security system alerted you to a person in an empty room, would you stay to see if it manifested, or would you be the first one out the window? This next clip takes us inside a veterinary hospital, a place often charged with high stakes and deep emotional transitions. In late 2025, a veterinary professional named Renee shared footage that has left many in the medical community questioning what happens in these clinics after hours. Renee explains that while staying late to care for a sick colleague's pet and a puppy battling parvovirus, she and her co-worker, Tessia, were interrupted by a sound that simply didn't belong. The atmosphere in the treatment room becomes tense as a phantom vocalization echoes through the sterile environment. Take a look.
That's weird. Where is that coming from? It don't sound like it's coming from. Okay, so you still want to do banana bags, 15 mils an hour, head of starch, 4 mils an hour. It's coming from over this way. Alright. Medication, Veterinary, 15 mils BID, Wait, is it Scarlet? Wait. I clicked it off before getting meds. Is somebody drop it off up there? That's coming from up there. They may have done that when they switched the bag. Is it the new bag free? No. Alright, who's making it help me? It's in the lobby. It's coming from the lobby. No, it's not. Where is that? It's not in here. What is that? What, phantom dolls? That's fucking weird. Is it Charles? You heard that, right? We all heard that. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. What did you hear? A dog keeps yapping. Is it Dakota? No. Look, it's coming from over here. Why don't you look in the front porch and make sure I didn't dump one or throw one in the pen outside or something? I didn't hear anything. You're not hearing that. Maria has heard it. I didn't hear it, no. You heard it, right? I heard it. I didn't hear it. It sounds like it's coming from this side. You can't hear it at IPA though, right? No. Look at that fence out there. It makes you somebody throw one in the fence. I heard nothing. I was like, what are y'all talking about? Yeah, that's a brand new bag. That's fucking bizarre. Yeah. That's I haven't heard it. I still haven't heard it. All three of us heard it. And it was coming from that. It sounded like it was in that room or something. Like it sounded like it was like right on your board. We're gonna play that back. I didn't even hear anything. Can you play it like specifically in those rooms or anything?
As you can hear, a distinct, mournful canine cry fills the room. Renee notes that there were only 4 animals present at the time: a cat, an elderly Great Dane, the sick puppy, and an old healer. None of them were vocalizing, yet the sound is clear and persistent. In paranormal research, hospitals and clinics are often cited as hotspots for residual energy, places where intense life and death moments leave a permanent echo. Some believe this could be the spirit of a recently euthanized pet, perhaps still seeking comfort in a familiar setting. However, the activity at this hospital isn't limited to just sound. Renee later shared surveillance footage from the kennel area that suggests a much more physical presence. In this chilling follow-up, watch the latch of one of the cages closely. Without any visible interference, the metal lever is seen rising on its own. When the door doesn't swing open immediately, it appears to be pulled outward by an unseen force, allowing the animal inside to potentially wander out. There are no shadows, no reflections of people in the room, and no mechanical failures that would explain a multi-step process like unlatching and then pulling a door. This level of physical manipulation often points to an intelligent haunting, an entity capable of interacting with its environment to achieve a specific goal. While skeptics might suggest a loose latch or a vibration from the building, the deliberate nature of the opening is hard to dismiss. Is it possible that the bond between humans and animals is so strong that even in death, these patients stay behind to navigate the only place that tried to save them? I'll let you come up with your own conclusions. If you were working a night shift and heard a phantom cry from an empty kennel, would you shrug it off as a residual echo, or would you start looking for a new clinic? In the following clip you're about to watch, we get a chilling look at why healthcare workers often joke about avoiding certain shifts. This footage was captured by Camila Torres, a nurse working at a nursing home, back in 2019 when a resident asked her to record a cleansing of what the staff called the death room. This specific room was notorious. Patients placed there would have sudden medical episodes or pass away, and the heavy cold energy was so intense that the facility eventually stopped placing patients inside it altogether. As the resident performs her prayer and wafts her hands outside the doorway, pay close attention to the rosary hanging on her hand.
Heavenly Father, I ask for your divine presence to fill this space. May your light shine brightly through every room, cleansing this home of any negativity, fear, or unrest. Let peace dwell in every corner, and love be the foundation of every wall. Bless this home with your protection, surrounding it with your angels, and shielding it from harm and evil. May every door be a passage to your grace, and every window open to your blessings. In Jesus' name.
Skeptics might write this off as a simple draft from a nearby vent, but a heavy beaded rosary doesn't just flutter like a piece of paper, it physically jumps as if tugged by an invisible hand. In paranormal theory, religious artifacts are often focal points for spiritual energy, and an entity occupying a space associated with so much trauma would naturally react aggressively to a cleansing. When a room accumulates so much transition and grief, it can easily become a magnet for something far more active that doesn't want to be evicted. But what do you think happened here? I'll leave you to be the judge. This next clip captures what should have been a warm, wholesome family gathering. A father is sitting on the couch playing the guitar while his family happily sings along. It's a beautiful, intimate moment, but if you look carefully at the open window just behind his shoulder, you'll catch a detail that completely ruins the cozy vibe. In the upper portion of the dark window frame, a pale, face-like shape appears to peek into the room, silently observing the performance before vanishing back into the pitch-black night.
Cuando me miraba esos tus ojos, cuando me miraba esos tus ojos, yo pues pensaba que me querías, yo pues pensaba que me amabas. Viene desde Perú acá, Chile, ¿no? Esos dos ojos tienen la culpa, esos dos ojos tienen la culpa de haberme mirado sin conocernos bien, de haberme mirado sin conocernos bien. Cuando me besaban esos tus labios, cuando me besaron esos tus labios, yo pues pensaba que tú me amabas, yo pues pensaba.
the chilling footage has left many convinced of its supernatural origin, with the creator herself agreeing, stating, "Si es un fantasma," which translates to, "Yes, it is a ghost." So, what exactly are we looking at, and why is it lurking there? In paranormal theory, spirits are often drawn to high vibration, positive human energy like music, laughter, and family bonding. Rather than a malicious presence, this could be an earthbound spirit, perhaps a deceased relative or a former occupant of the home attracted to the warmth of the song. It appears to be acting as a silent spectator, temporarily drawing enough kinetic energy from the group's collective joy to make its fleeting, pale form visible in the darkness, simply wanting to feel a connection to the living world once again. So, what do you think? Was this a loving ancestor pausing to enjoy a family melody, or is something more sinister watching from the shadows of the backyard? In this next clip, we follow the story of a mother named Sam, who for a long time had a persistent, unsettling feeling that she was being watched in her own home. She could never quite put her finger on what was causing the dread, until she accidentally recorded her twin boys playing and watched the footage back. While filming her toddlers running into a bedroom, a distinct, disembodied woman's voice can be heard over the audio, whispering a chilling, "Shh, quiet."
¿Qué pasó? ¿Quién está en el cuarto?
Sam confirmed she was completely alone in the house with only her young children at the time, leaving no logical explanation for who could have whispered the warning. In paranormal research, this is a classic example of an electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP. Entities often draw upon the high vibration, chaotic kinetic energy of playing children to manipulate the airwaves and make themselves heard. But why tell the boys to be quiet? Some investigators suggest that domestic spirits can become highly territorial, occasionally falling back into old disciplinary habits, as if they still run the household. Others fear a more deceptive entity, trying to hush the kids to avoid being fully discovered by the mother. Was this the voice of a lingering, spectral guardian watching over the boys? Or is there a silent tenant in this home trying to keep its presence a secret? I'll let you be the judge. In this next clip, we witness what happens when a haunting refuses to remain isolated to just one member of a household. This footage was uploaded by a terrified husband, but the camera is actually being held by his wife. Just a few days prior, he had a terrifying run-in with what he calls a knocking ghost while he was home alone. And then 3 later, the exact same phenomenon returned, proving that whatever is inhabiting their property has no intention of leaving. The activity actually began before she even had a chance to grab her phone, which is why the family dogs are already shown incredibly on edge, growling and pacing anxiously near the door. Realizing that the entity had returned, she quickly started recording to capture undeniable proof.
Okay, it just happened again and the dogs are freaked out. Get it. David, come over here. Get it. You be right there. Something opens that fucking door, you need to get him. Oh my god, I don't know if it's gonna happen again. It just fucking happened again. Move, 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 move! There's fucking nobody there! The dog stopped fucking barking now. Davey's freaking the fuck out by the door though. What is it? There's nobody out there. open the fucking door anymore.
As you can hear, she barely has time to set the scene before a series of violent, heavy knocks rattle the door leading outside, sending the dogs into a barking frenzy. The sheer force of the bangs suggests a physical presence right on the other side of the glass, yet the porch is completely empty. Whatever was demanding to be let in was entirely unseen, but its ability to physically rattle the frame of the house is undeniable. It didn't end there. On a separate day, the husband captured another occurrence, proving that the disturbance wasn't just a fleeting one-time anomaly. The knocking has become a relentless daily ordeal for the couple, slowly wearing down their peace of mind in their own home. It seems to happen at any hour, completely unprovoked, turning their sanctuary into a psychological pressure cooker.
Hear it? Happens all the time.
As the heavy rhythmic knocks rattle the door once again, the husband immediately steps up to investigate, determined to find a logical explanation. He walks straight to the glass pane, slides the lock, and throws the door open to catch the culprit in the act. But just like before, the back porch is completely empty. There are no neighborhood pranksters sprinting away, and no physical explanation for the loud pounding that occurred just a second prior. The absolute dead stillness of the yard only makes the noise more unsettling, proving that whatever is demanding to be let in doesn't need a physical body to make its presence felt. It is a bold, broad daylight manifestation that shows this entity is actively testing its boundaries, mocking their attempts to secure the home. But the true source of this terror may lie just beyond the porch, hidden in the thick tree line bordering the property. Desperate for answers, the husband decided to film the pitch black woods behind their house, sensing that something was watching them from the dark. If you look carefully into the shadows near the fence line, you'll see a tall, dark, human-like figure silently lurking among the trees, shifting slightly in the darkness. This unsettling discovery ties all of the family's terrifying experiences together. What if the violent knocking on the door wasn't an isolated trick, but a deliberate attempt by this forest-dwelling entity to gain entry into their home? In paranormal lore, entities that inhabit the woods, often referred to as elementals or territorial nature spirits, can become highly aggressive when humans encroach on their space. This shadow figure might be attempting to establish dominance, using the rhythmic knocking as a form of psychological warfare to break down the couple's sense of security. By wearing down their defenses, it feeds on the resulting fear and anxiety, gaining the energy it needs to manifest even closer to the house. So, what do you think? Is this a malevolent entity trying to claim the home for itself? Or is it a silent sentinel of the woods, warning the family that they are no longer welcome?